This episode is sponsored by BMW of West Houston. I don't know about you, but one of the things that I definitely did not miss during the pandemic was Houston traffic. Man, I really did not miss my commute. But I will tell you what I did miss. I missed getting behind the wheel of my BMW and driving. I love to drive, and I especially love to drive my car. So this is probably the third or fourth BMW that I've had. It's an X3, and I've purchased all of them from BMW of West Houston. And that's not by mistake. This is a fantastic dealership. What I love about it is the fact that I feel like I've got relationships with the people who work there. I walk in, it feels like a family. What do you need, Linda? How can we help? If I can't make it out to take my car for service, they'll come get the car and then they'll bring it back to me when the service is completed. I have to say that I switched from a different brand to BMW several years ago, and I'm never going back. And I'm especially never going to any other dealership. So just want to say, if you're in the market for a BMW, can't think of a better place to send you than BMW of West Houston. And I'm especially proud and honored that they are a sponsor of this podcast. So BMW of West Houston, welcome to the show. Hey everybody, it's Linda Lorelle, and this is a different kind of edition of our Voices Matter podcast. So if you've been watching and listening to me for the almost 3 years now, which I can't believe that we've been sharing stories and having conversations that I hope matter. I'm a journalist by profession and now an entrepreneur. Have been having my own business now for, I can't even believe it's been 12 years since I started Lorelle Media. But the thing is that as a journalist, I'm used to interviewing people and I'm used to elevating other people's stories and not having me be at the center of it, because that's the first thing they teach you in J school is you are not the story. So I'm going to kind of throw that out at the moment and try something a little bit different, and thinking that I might do a regular segment where I just talk to you about whatever's on my mind, whatever that might happen to be. And so I'm going to start it today, and we'll see how it goes. And I would love to know what your thoughts are, what you think of this. So here we go. And by the way, if we have any interruptions, it's because I have the most adorable little kitten named Linus, who is sitting right here at my feet. And he might make an appearance if I can't get him to go to sleep. So go to sleep, Linus, go to sleep. Okay, so here's what's on my mind today. I just got back from the most incredible weekend in San Francisco. I was a moderator of an incredible panel at a summit that was put on by a nonprofit organization called When the Music Stops. The founder of this organization is a guy named Josh Donaldson, and I met Josh on Clubhouse not too long ago, really just a few short months ago. And I was so impressed with his aura. How can you even feel someone's aura in a chat room, basically, that's all audio? We didn't meet in person until this weekend, but I was so impressed with him that I reached out to him. I DM'd him and I said, I really want to have you on the podcast. And so several months ago, I did interview him. And I urge you, by the way, if you've not already watched or listened to that podcast, please go back and watch it. Because we talked about his journey and how it is that he came to start this organization, When the Music Stops. And it is born of his personal battle and struggle with his mental health and his ultimate suicide attempt. Thank God he did not succeed. And that is because I believe, and I'm sure he does as well, that the Supreme Being, whatever you might call the Supreme Being, had more plans for Josh. His work is not done yet. And he has stepped into the most amazing arena where he is elevating the topic of mental health, especially in the music industry, which is his background and where he has spent so much of his life and where so much of his passion comes from. So this weekend, I was a moderator on a panel that brought together 5 powerhouses in the music industry to talk about mental health in the industry and how we can perhaps think about it in another way. So first, let me just say that I met some of the most inspiring, passionate, just incredible people this weekend. And I was exposed to the music industry in a way that I've not been exposed to it before. I'm most of the time just a fan, like you are, listening to the music that touches me and that gets me through a difficult day or that helps me celebrate the joyous moments in my life. I mean, you know, I can hear a song from 20 years ago and remember what I was wearing and what I was doing and who I was with and how it made me feel. And that's the beauty of art, right? The connection that it gives us all. And so it was just so exhilarating and inspiring to be in a room with people who have different, I guess, areas of expertise within the industry itself, and just learning from them and hearing their stories. And so some of the panelists that I had the pleasure of talking with, as I said, are powerhouses in the music industry. Some are in front of the audience, and many of them are behind the scenes, but are responsible for, in many ways, the sound and the vibe, if you will, that comes across in an artist's ultimate project. So several of them have agreed to be guests on the podcast. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm not even going to tease you right now to say who they are. So you have to keep paying attention to what we're doing. And I'll start rolling those out soon because we're going to start a new season right after Labor Day. But what I took away from that, so one of the things that I really wanted to touch on, and I did bring it up in my panel, and I want to bring it up here as I'm chatting with you about what my thoughts are. So one of the things that's beautiful about what When the Music Stops is doing is that the organization is trying to help normalize conversations around mental health, specifically as it relates to the music industry. But, you know, mental health is mental health, regardless of, you know, whether you're in music or any other industry. So normalizing conversations around it, making sure that it's okay to talk about it is a huge step, right? I think we can all agree that that's necessary. So as I was chatting with this gentleman, and actually I'm going to go ahead and say his name, and he has agreed to be on the podcast, so I'll tease you with that. His name is Moody Jones, and he is let me get his title right. I think it's Senior Vice President of Digital and Creative for Empire Records. And for those of you who were fans of Empire on Fox, not that Empire, this is the real Empire, which is there's Linus, hey baby, an up and coming music label in San Francisco. So the night before the event, and then actually on stage at the summit, I brought up this subject with Moody. So we were talking, and he says, as we're having this conversation, he talked about how so often the music that resonates with fans, listeners, is when an artist pours his or her heart out about whatever struggle it is that they're going through, right? So very often, the most impactful music is born of pain and anguish. And not so infrequently, there are numerous stories, and we can all think of them from years ago and then in the not too distant past, where artists have taken their own lives, sadly. So I said to Moody, and then subsequently to the audience on stage during the summit, I said, what if we change the paradigm shift? What if we looked at it in this way and we said, okay, this artist is clearly creating something that is born of pain and anguish, and they're working out their feelings in the music. clearly there's something going on here. So when that is recognized by the label, by those who are in the artist's orbit and are able to interact with that person, what if the label, or I'm saying the label, let's say it's Empire or whatever label it is, but what if the industry, the environment in which the artist finds him or herself is set up in such a way that there's help for them? So someone says, okay, I listened to this track. I see what you're saying. I hear the pain. I know there's something going on here. How can I help you? What if there were an actual place within the label or within the music making environment that allowed artists to pour out their everything into their music, and then have a place to go and further talk it out with a mental health professional to help them deal with whatever the feelings are that they're having in a healthy way, so that a month, a year, 2 years down the road, we're not all attending or hearing about this artist's funeral because they took their own life. What if we thought about it that way? I mean, why not, right? Why not? One of the things that really touched me and everybody who was at this summit on that day is a young woman who stood up. So at the very beginning, Josh addressed the audience and said, "Why are you guys here today? Why did you come? What is it that brought you to this venue on a Saturday morning? And, why are you here?" And a young woman shared, as she was choking back tears, she said, "I lost a friend to suicide earlier this week. I mean, literally a few days before. And I'm here because I want to know how not to miss the signs next time." It took my breath away, and it still gives me chills every time I think about it. So first of all, I feel for her, and I don't want her or anyone else who finds themselves in the position of still being here when a loved one has decided to end his or her life. I don't want them to feel shameful or blameful. And at the same time, I commend her for wanting to learn, wanting to take that horrific, heartbreaking event in her life and learn from it and say, okay, what did I miss? How might I have reached out to this person if I had recognized something was amiss? And so I think we all need to, be aware of that. We're living in such a tumultuous, contentious, difficult, chaotic time that is really the reason that I started this podcast. Because at the root of all of it, I believe, is our inability to connect on a human level in ways that allow us to see each other for who we are and accept each other just as we are, differences at all, not only accept, but embrace and celebrate our differences, right? And so the point of the podcast is to share our stories in hopefully getting us to that point. So when I think about her, and I think about the conversation that I had with Moody and the conversation that we had on stage as all of these powerhouse music executives shared their personal pain and struggles, the people that they have personally lost, some of whom were in the music industry, how do we fix this? How do we find new ways to communicate with each other and recognize when someone needs help? How do we get to the point where when we need help, that we're not afraid to ask for it, right? And we're not afraid to accept it when it is offered. There's nothing wrong with that. One of the things I said to the audience that day was everybody who's sitting up here on this stage has achieved some level of success and accomplishment. And that's great. We all are striving towards something that we want in our lives. But at the end of the day, everybody on this stage is also human. Everybody on this stage has something going on in their lives that isn't pretty and is difficult to deal with. And everybody on this stage either right now needs help with something or has needed help with something, or trust me, in the future, they will need help with something. And that's okay. It's okay to ask for it. It's okay to receive it, because it's what makes us human. It is what makes us human. So we have to find ways to have these kinds of conversations. So clearly, when the music stops, and everyone that I met this past weekend in San Francisco has had such a tremendous impact on me. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I won't stop thinking about it. I've already told Josh, now that you've let me into your world, you're never getting rid of me. I am here for the long haul, because the conversation around our collective mental health is essential to our health as humans and our health as the human race, and just trying to make sure that humanity continues. If we continue the way that we are, we're on a sure path to destruction on multiple levels. And, as someone who loves life and for the most part has had a really spectacular life, not to say that I haven't had my struggles and my challenges and my difficulties, another podcast for another day. But I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed, and I know it. And I thank the Supreme Being. I thank God for my blessings, and I feel I feel that I have to do whatever I can to use the blessings that I've been given to help move us to a more healthy place. And that's who I am. That's what I'm about. That's what how I want to live every minute of the rest of my life, for however long that is. So that's what's on my mind. And I just wanted to get it out there and share it with you. I would love it if you would go to ourvoicesmatterpodcast.com, and there's a little thing on the upper left-hand corner that says, Ask Me Anything. You can click on that and leave a video message, or an audio message for me, sharing your thoughts about what I just said. Ask me a question, ask me anything. And, let me know what you think. And the next time I do one of these where I'm just sitting in front of the camera and talking and kind of sharing what I'm thinking and feeling, then I will share whatever your feedback was, good, bad, and ugly, I promise. And let's just make this a two-way conversation. So this is different for me. I don't often do this, as I said, just get in front of the camera and talk about what I think and what I feel, because I'm used to elevating other people's stories. But I think I'm going to start making a little bit of my story a part of this podcast too. So after this one, we're going to take a break in August, so we can get a little bit of a breather and also get everything in place to launch the new season of our Voices Matter podcast, which will happen, I think the Tuesday after Labor Day is when we're planning to come back. So actually the Thursday after Labor Day, since we post on Thursdays most often. But anyway, I'll be still on social media. Reach out to me on Instagram and LinkedIn and, all the usual suspects. However, I'm not on TikTok, so whatever. But anyway, I would love to hear from you. As I said, go to ourvoicesmatterpodcast.com. Let me know what you think. Would love your thoughts, especially on this topic of mental health and how we can move this conversation forward and think about it in ways that we've not thought about it before. And in the meantime, please be well, stay healthy, wear your mask. Please get vaccinated. This epidemic or this pandemic is not over yet. We have to stay vigilant. Please protect yourself and protect your fellow humans. This is not a political issue. This is a human issue. So I pray that you stay healthy and well, and both physically and mentally. And I can't wait to see you next time. So thanks. Bye. Thanks again to our sponsor, BMW of West Houston. There's a special offer for members of the Our Voices Matter podcast community. Just click the link in the show notes, bmwwest.com.